Someone asked, I'm curious, where do these women give birth, or do they just lie and go to the hospital? The majority of them give birth at home. There's a midwife. Growing up, my grandma was the main midwife, but then Paul would help. A bunch of his brothers would help. Like, they would deliver babies.
Well, Paul delivered you, and I think he delivered me too. The leader.
So my grandma and Paul delivered me, and I was actually born.
My mom had 10 kids, all 10 kids at home. And then also, long story short, I did a whole video with a girl named Julie Robinson. She had a baby deceased in her body, and she had to beg her husband to let her go to the hospital to let it pass through. So stuff like that happens, and it's very common in the order because I don't know, I think there's so many reasons why they don't want to have babies in the hospital, but they really need to stop that rule because it's ridiculous. Money. They don't want you to spend money.
Two, they don't want them to know who the dad is.
Right.
What's going on. My grandma would make the birth certificates as well. So, like, let's say yeah.
I didn't even think about that. They don't want them to know who the dads are because my dad on my birth certificate is a fake name. So this is another reason why they don't want to go into the hospital with each other, because also they're siblings sometimes that are having the baby.
Yep. I don't know if this is true, but I heard this. If something happens within the first few weeks of the baby being alive, they just won't send the birth certificate in.
Right. I have heard this too, where my dad didn't get his birth certificate for 8 years, and I heard, again, I wasn't alive at this time, but I heard that the reason why they just wouldn't get the birth certificate for a few years is because they were going to wait to see if the baby was even going to live.
Yeah, because
they don't have to report it.
Right. They don't want them in their business. If a hospital has record of a baby being born and then they don't have that baby, they're like, what's going on here?
Right. So they just take care of themselves.
And that's why they also don't take you to the hospital if you're sick, for anything except for a broken bone. And that's really it.
Even then, sometimes they wouldn't.
Yeah, at least in my experience. My brother went to the hospital because he broke his arm, but
stitches. My dad hand stitched my brother with no anesthetic.
I got stitches from Joe, Paul's brother, right here.
Oh, what happened? Is that all?
No.